the main Chip Washington. It's real talk. Man, it's real talk with your main Chip Washington. When it comes to information, the main got an arsenal. Bring you up to speed with what you need. He's the local and nationwide news feed. Let's talk about it. Dialect to do something about it. Chip got the flow wide open if you got questions about it. Man, it's the show that brings you to your raw. To solve all problems, it starts with real talk. Real talk. It's 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 real talk. Yeah. Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Chip Washington. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
And here we go on this Monday, the 28th day of March, 2022. This is Real Talk Memphis, and we are on the air. I am your humble host, Chip Washington. Very, very happy to have you with us on this last Monday in March. And yeah, the year is just flying by, absolutely flying by. So on this day, after the slap heard around the world, we'll talk more about that in just a couple of minutes. I hope that you had a good week since the last time we had a chance to visit with one another. And I also hope that your Monday was good. You know, a lot of us, Mondays for a lot of folks, we like Mondays. Do we like Mondays? How do we feel about Mondays for most people? Mondays are Mondays. But it was a beautiful day today. So I hope you enjoyed the fact that it was a beautiful day today, because I'm to understand that Wednesday we're going to see more storms. But first things first. We got a packed show for you tonight. I got a lot of news to get to tonight, so I'm going to jump right in. Now, if you don't quite know all the ways to get this radio show, let's hit that. 91.7 on your FM dial. We are on live right now, WYXR. You can also catch us on the WYXR app. The TuneIn app, you can catch us on that. And we are also on Facebook Live, as well as YouTube. I'll be posting a bit later on to YouTube. And we are a podcast, so you can also catch us tomorrow when they post the show wherever you get your podcast. And so, again, nice to have you all with us. I'm sorry, I'm hearing double on my phone here. The volume was up. But in any event, as we move through the show, we have a good show for you tonight. A lot of information to pass forth, some great guests, and of course, you know how we do it here. We like to provide some information and edification along with a bit of entertainment as well. But before we move too far into the show, let's get to birthdays, and we can't do that until I tell Jack. Hit it, Jack.
Happy birthday!
Yes. Last day of March, 2022. Happy birthdays going out to my longtime friend Jacqueline McDonald in Jackson, Mississippi. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Linda Woodard. Tamika Perry. Happy birthday, Fabo Williams. Trevecca Steger. My cousin, Carlisha Rhodes. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Lisa Skinner. Wendy Green Rogers' birthday is today, and that is the wife of my barber and my friend, Carlos Rogers. So happy birthday to the missus. I hope she had a wonderful day. I hope you treated her well on her birthday, Carlos. Also, Michael Powell celebrating a birthday today. Now, tomorrow, blues singer Willie Clayton, R&B blues, he celebrates his birthday tomorrow. And on Wednesday, my very good friend and my former work wife at MLGW, Leela Garlington, celebrates her birthday on Wednesday. So to each and every one of you, a very, very happy birthday, happy upcoming birthday, and we hope to be with you a year from now to celebrate your another trip around the sun. Thanks, Jack. So as we move forward into some of the special announcements, we had a couple of notable deaths last week or so. Madeleine Albright, who was the first female named Secretary of State in this country, died last week at the age of 84 of cancer. And also gospel great LaShawn Pace, acclaimed gospel vocalist and songwriter, passed away. She was 60 years young, and she died of organ failure while on dialysis while also waiting for a kidney. I Know I've Been Changed. That's one of the biggest hits that she ever had, and I love that record. But anyway, rest in peace, LaShawn Pace and Madeleine Albright. Jumping into the news and notes, and man, I tell you what, a lot going on. Many of you probably heard about the very sad incident in Tunica, Mississippi. It happened last week, last early Thursday morning, when a 21-year-old woman broke into a house. One would assume it was probably an ex-relationship, stabbed a woman that was in the house to death. This happened about 3 o'clock in the morning. Word has it that she worked at one of the casinos down in Tunica, left there, came to this house, committed this crime, and went back to work. But anyway, she has been caught, arrested. The victim is identified as 21-year-old Breonna Jackson. Very sad, very, very sad story. Beginning of this month, we had another shooting, death, this time on Beale Street near Riverside. You remember that? 15-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl were both shot, and the 15-year-old boy died of his injuries. Well, 3 people were arrested by the marshals over the weekend for that particular crime. 3 people. 2 of them were 15 years old. The other one was 16 years old. Now, I'll just let that marinate for just a second. 15 and 16-year-olds committing crimes, committing murder. Very sad situation happened yesterday morning that left a 3-year-old dead after he accidentally shot himself with an unsecured AR-15 assault rifle that was under a pile of clothes. Now, 3 and 4-year-olds are curious by nature. They are going to run, and they're going to rummage, and they're going to try to find whatever they can find. Extremely sad. The mother of the child and the man who owned the gun are both facing some very serious charges. I mean, this gun was left out, basically where this kid could find it. You know, unsecured. The mother and her friend left to go to the store. An uncle was supposed to be watching the 3-year-old and his 4-year-old brother. He fell asleep. He woke up when he heard the gunshot. And by the time he got to the child, it was too late. So extraordinarily sad, very, very sad situation. And once again, that same thing we talk about all the time, guns just being left out, just without a care in the world. You think that a child is not going to find these things, but children are curious, and they will go looking. By the way, every week I try to, have some breaking news for you. Have some breaking news that I just saw it literally a few minutes ago. Jarvis Greer, Jarvo, Action News 5 sports broadcasting legend, is hanging up his cleats after 43 years at the station. 43 years at WMC TV5. Jarvis Greer is retiring. So that just leaves Joe Birch. We'll probably have to wheel Joe out. He'll stay there as long as he can continue to do the news. But in any event, man, great guy, great guy. Jarvis Greer will definitely be missed. That void will definitely be open. So we have a big kind of a housing problem situation here in Memphis. And to say that is kind of an understatement. So the Memphis Housing Authority last week held a pre-application process event. It was like a lottery, basically, and you had to apply online for this last week. It ended on Friday afternoon. They said that they anticipated about 30,000 applications for however many voucher positions that they had available. They said they would narrow the waiting list down to 10 10,000. And once the waiting list is closed, a random lottery process will be utilized to select the 10,000 pre-applicants that will be placed on the new waiting list. Oh, and by the way, I will have the executive director of the Memphis Housing Authority on this broadcast next Monday night. We'll talk all about this. Housing is a big, big issue out here in our city and our county. Ketanji Brown Jackson looks like she is on her way to becoming the Associate Supreme Court Justice and the first black female to ever hold that position. She's been grilled pretty good by the boys in Congress, and looks like that's over. We'll probably get a vote in the next couple of weeks, and I think that she will be confirmed. That's another history-making event. The BA2 variant of COVID is starting to rumble its way across the country. Now, we still don't know, we know it's more transmissible supposedly, but how strong is it? Will it cost hospitalizations? Will it cost, additional deaths and things like that? Don't really know as of yet. We'll keep an eye on it. I'll keep an eye on it. And in the meantime, if you hadn't had your vaccination or your boosters, you should go out and do that just to protect yourself. Many of you probably heard what happened over the weekend regarding the University of Memphis basketball program and Penny Hardaway. The university is reportedly facing multiple level 1 and level 2 violations. According to the IARP, the NCAA complex case unit is claiming that there's been a pattern of noncompliance within the Tigers program under Penny, and he failed to demonstrate that he promoted an atmosphere of compliance. Well, the University of Memphis is absolutely fighting this. They plan on fighting this tooth and nail. This could be a bad situation. I mean, I don't know what the fallout could be, but level 1 violations are pretty serious in terms of the NCAA. So we'll have to wait and see what more information comes out, how all of this plays out, and, where we go from here. Your Memphis Grizzlies are in the playoffs. They have officially secured a spot in the NBA playoffs in the next couple, 3 weeks. Congratulations to them as they continue to march forward. Now, before I go to break, we have to talk about the slap heard around the world. You didn't watch the Oscars last night. You didn't have to because, my God, it's been all over the news. It's been everywhere. Chris Rock came out to present an award for Best Documentary. Comics crack jokes, right? Comics crack jokes. He cracked a joke about Jada Pickett, Will Smith's wife. He said something to the effect that, Jada, I love you, Jada Pickett, and looking forward to seeing, what's the name of that movie? G.I. Jane 2. Yeah, because she has a shaved head because she's got alopecia. And so, you gotta laugh, right? And they showed her, Will was kind of chuckling about it, but they showed her face. She didn't look too pleased. Well, next thing you know, husband Will got up, walked up to Chris Rock, and just gave him the biggest slap in the face, shocking everybody. I don't think it was planned. I don't think it was an event. I think it was, he reacted. And Chris Rock, of course, was very stunned. And, and then also on his way back to the seat, Will Smith said that Chris needed to keep his wife's name out of his mouth using an expletive deletive to express those thoughts. Shocked everybody, right? Everybody was shocked. I asked the question earlier, so what do you think about that? Was Will Smith wrong? You guys on Facebook Live right now, you can express yourself on this. I'm curious to see. Most of the comments I saw were, that Will Smith was wrong in what he did. First of all, this is a global event. Second of all, to walk up and slap somebody who cracks a joke, that's what comedians do. They crack jokes. So, a lot of comedians are wondering now, so if I do what I do in my routine, right, and I crack a joke, to somebody in the audience, and they're going to come up and because they don't like it because I picked at them, they're going to come up and beat me up. So, I don't know. At first, my reaction was, well, maybe Will was right. But then I thought to myself, the other sane part of myself said, no, that was wrong. It was wrong what he did. And, there are ways to handle that. Now, whether they have resolved it or not, I don't know. It would be good for Will Smith to come out and apologize to Chris Rock for the actions that were taken. A lot of folks have a lot of opinions about this, so I'd be curious about what you all think as well. All right, so listen, we're going to stop it right there. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we are going to talk about an issue that has really been in the news and even nationally, the issue that is going on in Mason, Tennessee, in reference to their finances and perhaps being taken over by the state. Our first guest is going to talk to us all about that. This is Real Talk Memphis. I am Chip. You know who you are. Quick break, right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
This Saturday, WYXR and the University of Memphis are hosting a music industry panel, but not one that's preachy and not one that's solely geared toward uplifting artists. At Meeting in the Middle, fans get to sound off too. The series of panels answers the questions, how can artists be better for fans? And how can fans be better for artists? And you can be in the middle of it all. See guest details and RSVP for free at WYXR.org. Be a part of the dialogue, which takes place at the WYXR HQ, Saturday, April 2nd, noon to 4 p.m. Meeting in the Middle is made possible with funds from Arts Memphis and Tennessee Arts Commission's Arts Build Communities grant.
WYXR Stereo Sessions, presented by Nexair and Mempho, continues on with the Grifters' 1994 rock opus LP, Crappin' You Negative.
Sit and listen in the state-of-the-art Memphis Listening Lab as hosts Jimmy Yank and Andrea Lyle press play on the pivotal local cult classic.
The free event is made possible with a grant from Humanities Tennessee, along with support from Orion,
Memphis Listening Lab,
Via Productions,
Fat Possum Records,
and Shangri-La Records.
For more information, visit WYXR.org and subscribe to our weekly newsletter for RSVP announcements and updates.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Very glad to have you along with us, as I am my first guest. Now, I need to set this up a bit. Many of us have heard about the situation in Selmer, Tennessee. It's a small town in Tipton County, and they have had some financial issues and some other issues, probably going back several years. Well, a lot of this has come to light as the state comptroller had stepped into this and looked at things and said, hey, this is so bad that we might need to take over the town. And there was even some talk at one point about the town surrendering its charter. Well, my first guest is a man of action for sure. State Representative Antonio Touche Parkinson is on with me, and he brokered a meeting as the chairman of the Black Caucus between the comptroller and city officials in Selmer. And Antonio, thanks for coming on the show and kind of walking us through this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I'm happy to be here. Mason, Tennessee is a predominantly African-American town, and their vice mayor, Virginia Rivers, and the comptroller, we've all been in communication with each other. And, and here's the thing, first of all, by law, the comptroller can come in and begin to supervise the finances of any city whose finances have fallen on hard times. So by law, he has that power.
Okay.
There's been a history of the comptroller coming in and supervising or basically taking over cities and counties' finances, in past years. As a matter of fact, Van Buren County is under the comptroller's financial supervision as we speak right now. So there's a history there of the comptroller doing that, and it's happened on multiple occasions before Mason, Tennessee, also. And so the thing for me as Black Caucus chair, excuse me, it was simply to make sure that the communications channels were open and transparent and honest and forthright.
So,
and go ahead.
No, I was going to say, before you go on, a lot of folks were wondering about that and were questioning that. So based on your conversations with both parties and having said what you said about the comptroller's role, a lot of folks are saying, is this a black-white issue? Now, I know the majority of the leadership in Selmer is black right now, but these issues preceded this particular group. Am I correct in that?
Right. Well, remember, it's Mason, Tennessee.
Right.
Not Selmer.
I'm sorry, Selmer. Mason.
Right.
Mason.
Right.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Right. And so, some, it depends on how you look at it, because.
Well, how do you look at it?
Well, let me preface with why I'm saying it. Because honestly, the letter that was initially served by the comptroller was a bit aggressive, right? And it asked them to give up their charter or be taken over by the comptroller's office. And so there's a lot of gray area in it. So one thing, the best thing, number one for sure, is that they didn't give up their charter.
Mm-hmm.
And so they still are the city of Mason and not an unincorporated part of Tipton County.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, that narrative took off also because of the takeover language, right? And so it's not that the comptroller is not going to come in and become the mayor of the city or take over a city. What happens is they take over the supervision of the finances in order to get the budgets back to a balanced state and create some stability financially for the cities. And that's temporary. That is not, a situation that will continue on and on and on and on forever. It's temporary. And so looking at it as a black and white issue, I think it's more of a fiscal issue than it is a black and white issue, because there's been a track record of the comptroller doing this in previous times. And as far as I know, this is the first time that a black city or a black ran city has been in this situation. And so, like I said, even right now, Van Buren County is under the comptroller's supervision financially, and it's not a black city.
If you're just joining us, ladies and gentlemen, we are speaking with Antonio Parkinson, state representative from Memphis, chairman of the Tennessee Black Caucus. We're talking about the situation in Mason, Tennessee, that many of us have heard about, and it's made national news. So I wanted to get some clarity. I talked to Antonio offline last week about all this, and before I found out that he was actually sitting down with both sides. Now, Antonio, a lot of this, does any of this hinge on any type of participation or role in the new Ford plant that is literally 5 minutes from the town of Mason? I mean, are there ramifications in reference to that in terms of this situation?
Well, yes. Again, my answer is yes and no. And so let me qualify it though. So number one, we know that the Ford plant and Blue Oval City and everything that's coming with it is coming to that area. I think it's maybe 15 miles from Mason, I think max. And so we know there's an opportunity for there to be a huge benefit to Mason,
right?
When these entities are put in place,
right?
However, Mason has to be in a position to be fluid, right, and in a position to where, they can be where they can where money can be brought into Mason, or where somewhere a banking institution or the city of Mason itself could float bonds and bring money in for infrastructure issues and so on and so forth. Right now, that's not the case, right? And so once they come out of that supervision with the comptroller, their fiscal issues will be fixed, and they will be in position to be able to benefit from the Ford deal, if that makes any sense.
It does.
Right. And so I'll give you an example. One of the things that was brought to my attention in all of this is the fact that Mason doesn't have a grocery store. And it was told to me the reason that they don't have a grocery store is because their sewer lines are not big enough to hold a box store like that at that commercial type of space.
Right.
And so in order to improve on the capital issues that this town may have, they have to be bankable. So they have to be able to receive monies in forms of floating bonds or whatever it is that however they bring money into the city to expand their capital improvement projects.
Antonio,
I'm
sorry. Go ahead. Finish. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so in regards to timing, this could be seen as the best time to get the money in order, get their finances in order, because a few years down the road is when Ford plant and all of this stuff will be up and running. Right. And you want to be in place to be able to receive when this stuff starts happening.
Well, this is kind of one of those things that we really don't hear about. But before I let you go, because I know you're at the legislature and you have a state business to take care of, I'm to understand that there's a tentative agreement in terms of moving forward. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Right. Yeah. And so that's why I was saying the key has been the ability to communicate openly, communicate transparently, and in truth. Right.
Right.
And so one thing that was happening was Mason was already trying to get the mayors of Mason were already trying to get their books in order before this happened.
Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then when this happened, the comptroller had a plan or a spending plan that he was putting together. And my conversations with the mayor or the vice mayor of Mason is, okay, you come with your plan, right? You ask him for all of the numbers in regards to what he sees as needing to be fixed, right? Mm-hmm. And you have your team look at it, right? And also to the comptroller, get us a fact sheet of what this means when the comptroller comes in and takes over supervision of finances. Give them a timeline, not us, but give them a timeline. Well, they gave it to us too, though. Give them a timeline as to what your expected timeline is, how long you're going to be supervising their finances, and what the expected outcome is. And now that when Mason gets this stuff and when they got it and they're armed with this information, now they also can say, hey, Mr. Comptroller, here we see your plan, but here's our idea of how we can do this, and get that to him, right? And then y'all work together to make it happen. And that is exactly what has happened. And so Mason, the city of Mason came up with the idea of taking their federal ARP funds, I think it was $256 million, and putting it towards that debt of the $500,000 that they were under. And so that knocked half of it down, and that shortened the time frame, the window, immensely. And not to mention, there's another round of ARP funds that are coming to Mason, and that may knock the whole thing out. Wow. And so, but it was a matter of, just ensuring communication, and transparency, and open dialogue, right? And I think this was the most important part, was making sure that everybody cut through the noise. Right, because there were a lot of things at play and narratives at play that didn't necessarily encompass what was factual, and then when that was happening, you emotions start coming into play. People start taking sides and becoming defensive with each other, because what's out there in the media and saying, hey, They're trying to take the black folk city, and then what's out there in the media about the comptroller. The comptroller's trying to take our city, right? And if now that factually, the comptroller can't take a city. He can supervise your finances.
Yeah.
By law.
Yeah.
You're right. And by law, that's what he is supposed to do, right? To make sure that all cities in Tennessee have a balanced budget and that they are not operating on funds that were actually for another purpose.
Listen, Antonio, thank you so much, man, for coming on the show. I know how busy you are, and so sort of putting a light on this and kind of giving us some clarity about this situation. We'll all be watching it very carefully, and as the time moves forward, maybe we can get you back, talk a little bit more about all this.
Right. And let me say this last thing too. I think it's important to note that Mason didn't get in this situation overnight. Mm-hmm. Mason just started, even though they were predominantly black city, just began to have black leadership in the last 4 years.
Okay.
The situation started 16 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, under the white leadership, all the way up until about 4 years ago when the first black mayor was elected in the city of Mason, in town of Mason. So it didn't start with them, but they were tasked with cleaning it up. So I think that's important for people to know.
Absolutely that. State Representative Antonio Touche Parkinson, thanks for coming on the show, man. Look forward to talking to you again down the road. You be safe out there, okay?
Thank you. Y'all take care, man.
Okay,
Appreciate
take care. Yes, sir. Well, that was a very enlightening conversation, and we'll keep an eye on it. Absolutely that as time moves forward. We're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to shift gears, and we're going to talk about something a little closer to home with the man who runs Habitat for Humanity. They got a big financial gift not too long ago, and we'll talk all about that. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip, and we will be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
For more than 60 years, Orion has been a trusted financial partner in our community. You can find out all the ways they redefine banking at orionfcu.com. Orion believes communities work best when they work together. They have been a trusted financial partner in our community for more than 60 years and are committed to giving back in the neighborhoods they serve. You can see how they're redefining banking at orionfcu.com.
This is Stephen Tate, head brewer at Crosstown Brewing Company. It's my pleasure to design and give life to the tasty beers our customers love so much. Crosstown Concourse is a unique environment, and the programming at WYXR reflects the very same independent spirit and ethos that makes our beer special. Cheers to Memphis and great community radio. Enjoy!
If you weren't so impatient.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And this is Real Talk Memphis for this Monday, the 28th day of March, the last Monday in March. Very happy to have you with us. And very happy to have my next guest. He's never been on this show before, but Habitat for Humanity is an organization that all of us know, and particularly about the fine works that they do to help create ownership for so many out there in need. Well, recently, Habitat for Humanity International and 83 Habitat affiliates received a $400,000 $436 million gift from author and philanthropist Mackenzie Scott. Of that $436 million to Humanity International, our local chapter here got $7.5 million. And I'm very, very happy to have the president and CEO of Habitat Memphis. His name is Dwayne Spencer. And Dwayne, thank you for coming on Real Talk. Really glad to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. So this obviously is a very huge gift, and nice to be able to fill the coffers with this $7.5 million. I guess I should start by asking you how you all found out about this, and particularly the amount that you received.
Yeah, in the typical Mackenzie Scott fashion, it was low key and non-disclosure agreements to not talk about it. But I will tell you, I was saying to a couple of friends one day on a Wednesday, wow, Mackenzie's giving all this money away. I wish that Habitat was on her radar. And literally the next day, I received this odd email from the West Coast from someone that said that they were representing an anonymous donor. And I thought, could this really be it? and it was. It was. So we had a phone call a couple of days later, and the person said, I'm representing Mackenzie Scott. We're going to start with economics, and you're receiving a $7.5 million gift.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yes. And I tell you, you all do some amazing work, Dwayne, and there are so many people in need. There are so many folks in need, and housing seems to be a very big issue, these days, particularly here in Memphis and Shelby County. And I guess, would it be fair to say, to ask you, are there really challenging situations, or are the situations as challenging as we perceive them to be?
They definitely are, and certainly the pandemic has impacted that. But I'll tell you, some of the latest statistics say that average rent has increased about 19 or 20% since 2021.
Right.
That's huge. And then the other thing that we find, because we're all about home ownership, and we make that happen by not charging interest. I want to make sure that people know that. We build the house and then we sell it to the borrower.
Right.
0% interest. There's absolutely no giveaway. A lot of people think that we do that. But the folks coming to us are generally spending maybe 40 to 50% of their bring home pay on housing. And our goal, Chip, is to get it back down to about 30%, which is where it should be for most of us.
What is the end result of that? I mean, why? I mean, this is kind of your field. When you see those type of numbers, and COVID and whatever else exacerbates the fact that people have to pay so much more to keep a roof over their heads. I mean, what are we to make of that?
Well, it is the market. It is what's happening today, and the cost of construction is one of those things. It's all about what the market will bear. Unfortunately, the families that we serve are low to moderate income. So that means that their incomes, their bring home pay does not keep up with the market. So they're paying about, $800 to $900 for a 3-bedroom apartment. And many times they're not even in good condition. And what we can do through our program is get that down to more like $600 to $650. And it's home ownership. I mean, it's going to be an asset that they pass off to their children, their grandchildren, and also it helps them to be stable and not move from rental unit to rental unit.
We're speaking with Dwayne Spencer. He is the president and CEO of Habitat Memphis. And we're talking about the $7.5 million gift that he and his organization received. Now, two things, Dwayne. First of all, how do folks qualify to participate in the Habitat House Build program? And then I want to ask you about your strategic plan moving forward.
Yeah. So our folks qualify via a few things. Mm-hmm. First is the need. which means they have a qualifying need. Either they are homeless because they're living with a relative or someone else, or they are overcrowded, or they're spending just way too much of their bring home pay on housing, as I mentioned before.
Right.
Then they have to have the willingness to partner. And that means that they will sit through and learn and listen as we do financial literacy and education over, a 3 or 4 month period. And they're going to participate in that. They'll also probably go out to the build site and hammer on a house next to a corporate donor. But then the other thing is that they have the ability to pay. That means that through our underwriting, which is non-traditional, we don't put a lot of stock into credit scores and things like that, but they have to have the ability to pay the mortgage and have stable income, which generally comes from having a stable job, be able to make the mortgage payment. And I will tell you, that $600 to $650 is more than it used to be. When I got here 20 years ago, the mortgages were more like $325.
Yeah.
And so things have changed, and they have to be stable and able to afford that. We want to set them up for success.
Is there a number in terms of, as you start your fiscal year and you can sort of look down the calendar, as to how many homes you all build in a particular calendar year?
Yeah, that definitely fluctuates year by year.
Sure.
Here we're doing 27 houses. Last year we did 27. And as we move into 2023, which is our 40th anniversary.
Oh, okay.
Our goal is to step it up, and we're raising money right now to build 45 houses in this next year, and that'll be the most we've ever built in any 1 year. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, so now that you've got this big gift. I'm sure you're sitting around and your team and you're looking at this and you're trying to figure out your strategic plan moving forward as pertains to that gift. And have you started that? I know you just got this, but I'm sure you're a man who's always thinking. You're always you have to be forward thinking. You have to look ahead and see what the landscape looks like down the road. And what does this gift do for that vision?
Chip, we had started strategic planning already. We've hired a consultant. We pretty much achieved everything we wanted to in the last plan.
Okay.
We realized that it was time to pull it off the shelf, dust it off, and start looking 5 to 7 years into the future. Taking into consideration the economics of today, the cost of land and lots, the cost to build the homes, and the fact that homeowners are having come off of more money per month just to afford, the mortgage.
Sure.
So this $7.5 million gives us a head start in the plan that we hope will take us into the next 5 to 7 years. And so we can think a little more boldly about some things that we probably would not have prioritized before. We can step a little bit outside of the general concepts that we were looking at prior to this.
Well, I tell you what, man, I'm a big fan of the Habitat organization. When I was in Jackson, Mississippi, I worked for Tougaloo College. We actually built a Habitat house back in the day. And I got to be honest with you, that was one of the greatest experiences of my entire life. Watching a homeowner, was a woman at the time with a 3-year-old daughter, helping to build a house and giving them the keys to a new home, presented to them by the Habitat organization. You just can't. I mean, honestly, there's not too much better than that as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you said it best. I mean, an affordable home provides a foundation for families. I mean, it absolutely does. And what Mackenzie Scott has done for us is basically invest in our work. And this is going to be a jumping off point for our future. Our goal is to let this catapult us forward in a much more meaningful and impactful future.
Dwayne Spencer, President and CEO of Habitat for Humanity, Memphis. Congratulations on the gift, And congratulations and thank you for all you do to help our community better itself and give so many folks the opportunity for home ownership. Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chip, for letting me share.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Dwayne Spencer, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you what, that is one heck of an organization, and he has done a tremendous job leading it. And now, with $7.5 million additional dollars in the coffer, watch them go to work now. We're going to take our final break, and when we come back, we are going to talk to a man who has committed himself to the youth of our city, raising boys into successful men. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. Quick break, right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
The University of Memphis is proud to be a founding partner of WYXR. They have recently been named an R1 institution by the Carnegie Classification of Institutions of Higher Education, putting the U of M in the top tier of research universities nationally. This milestone solidifies the university as one of the 2 flagship public institutions in Tennessee. More information at memphis.edu.
The University of Memphis is proud to be a founding partner of WYXR. They've recently been named an R1 institution by the Carnegie Classification of Institutions of Higher Education, putting the U of M in the top tier of research universities nationally. This milestone solidifies the university as one of 2 flagship public institutions in Tennessee. More information at memphis.edu.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to the big broadcast on this Monday. And, we talked a little bit at the top of the show. We gave some rather sobering statistics involving young people and what is going on out in our communities and in our streets. Well, my next guest is a man who is the founder and director of an organization called Brotherhood Boys to Men, because he cares a lot about these young folks and he wants them not to be statistics, but to be successful young men and eventually be the leaders of our community. Very pleased to welcome to the show Curtis Weathers, as I said, founder and director of Brotherhood Boys to Men. And Curtis, thanks for coming on the show, man. Really glad to have you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely that. So, tell us, the folks who may not know a little bit about your organization and what it is that you have dedicated to do with these young folks.
Yeah, the Brotherhood is the Brotherhood, we call it Brotherhood B2M, Boys to Men, we like to think of ourselves as a fraternal organization for teenage boys. And, a few years ago, I retired as a school principal. And we always had, some type of organization in our school that was focused on young boys. We called it Boys to Men. We called it other kinds of names, but there was always a group of kids in our school that just didn't have anything to belong to. And athletes have their own fraternity, and and they kick it with each other, and and they have relationships. But there was always that other group of kids that just didn't have anything belong to. And so I thought it was always a good idea to have something for that group. When I retired a few years ago, about 3 years ago now, I got a little bored quickly.
Sure.
And, missed the kids but I thought, to myself, this is a great opportunity to do the Boys to Men program permanently. So we, we shaped it into a nonprofit, developed a program, a focused, and so we came up with Boys to Men. Our primary focus is personal leadership development. We teach our kids how to, do a lot of things, but mainly centered around personal development. And, our kids, our boys especially, are incredibly needy, but they also need skills and need to know how to develop themselves as a man. And that's what we try and provide. Right now we have 4 chapters out there. When we actually got started in 2019. Man, we got off to a great start.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up the year with, or at least before the pandemic came, we had about 9 chapters. We had about 170 members. And then the pandemic came along and, squashed all that momentum.
Right.
And so we've been recovering ever since. We decided to launch again this past school year, but we decided not to grow as fast because managing 9 schools and with one person was kind of difficult. But my board has helped me, stepped in, picked up some of the schools, and so we're off and running and off to a great start. Right now we have about 80 members right now. And
that sounds really, really good. And I know probably within the last month or two, I saw you and your program highlighted on several television news programs about the good work that you're doing with these young men. What is it that when you watch these young guys, when they come in the program, how are they? And the evolution of growth that you see as they go through the program?
Yeah, that's a good question because that varies. And a lot of times, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. When the things that we teach as regards to personal leadership development are things that they kind of see every day, but nobody has ever engaged them in those kinds of things like goal setting and actually thinking about the careers that they want at this particular age. Sure. And actually being serious about that as well.
Sure.
But we have 6 principles that we teach them about things like integrity and perseverance and commitment and scholarship and all of those things and we grade them by that. In other words, they know all the time that I'm watching them, everything that they do. We try and have an event every month, some type of activity that involves all of our chapters throughout Memphis. We have Saturday sessions on every weekend. And so all of that exposure to all of the things that we do are changing them. I was telling a group of people, I posted on Facebook the other day, we had an overnight trip a couple of weeks ago to Nashville. Mm-hmm. It was our first college tour. And so we visited about 4 or 5 colleges, along with some other sites in Nashville. But my statement to the public was, you'd be surprised at the conversation driving down or up to Nashville compared to the conversation on the bus coming back from Nashville.
Okay.
It's amazing the difference exposure makes in a child's life when all of a sudden they see the things that we've been talking about as it relates to college and they're and they see opportunities, their whole perspective changes. And so that transition and that dynamic happens a lot, as kids learn the things we try and teach them as it relates to those principles. And of course, the activities that we do every day and every weekend.
Well, when I was, kind of reading up about you, and I saw what you did, and you're a professional, you're an ex-pro football player, so discipline, it plays a big role in all of this. But more importantly, kind of what you just said about really the perspective that these young men get from being exposed to you all as responsible adults and to each other. And they can help each other grow. It seems to me in this program.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time. We have what we call Saturday sessions. Now every week I visit all of our schools, and we have we have lessons planned and so forth and so on. And so I get a chance to talk to them at their individual schools. On Saturday though, they get a chance to come together. So we have members coming together from various schools and parts of the community, we have schools from North Memphis to South Memphis, and they get a chance to interact with each other. Right. And the whole purpose of Saturdays is exactly that, to build that brotherhood, that camaraderie that they experience. And so as they learn stuff and as they engage each other, you'd be surprised at, the change of attitude that you see, in these guys. They, all of a sudden, they understand what we mean by commitment. Some of them, won't miss a Saturday. That's a big deal for them to, to make a commitment like that and to be a part of what we're trying to do on Saturday. So they're learning things every day, at least every time we get together, because we're teaching them different things. And now sometimes you're going to get disappointment, man, when you're dealing with kids. They are very needy, especially teenage boys, but for the most part, they try and hold up to the principles that we have established for them.
Well, listen, man, I just first of all, thank you for everything that you're doing to help these young folks better themselves, and in doing so, making the communities better. I really appreciate having you on the show, and I would like to keep up with you as time moves forward. And if there's any special programs or other events or activities or initiatives that you have, you're always welcome back on Real Talk, man. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, man.
All right, appreciate you, man. Thanks. Take care of yourself. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that's going to put the wraps on another edition of Real Talk Memphis. That was a great way to end it. Curtis Weathers is doing a tremendous job with these young folks, and congratulations to him and the Brotherhood B2M, or Boys to Men. Thanks to all my guests tonight, Antonio TNT Parkinson, Touche Parkinson, rather, and Dwayne Spencer, President and CEO of Habitat for Humanity, for another engaging hour. And as Jack plays us out, listen, I created a fan page for this show last week. It's called Real Talk Memphis Radio Fans, whatever it is. Anyway, go on Facebook and find it and become a member. We have 132 members as of tonight after about 7 days. It's just a page dedicated to the show. Real Talk Memphis Radio Show Fans page. Go to it on Facebook. Go to it now. Go to it later. And just join the family, okay? Because, we're a good group of people. Anyway, thank you all for being with us tonight. Really appreciate it. And if the Lord says so, we'll be back here at the same time, same station, the same seat. But we'll try to do things just a little bit better. Will Smith, bad play last night with the slap. Bad play. That's all I'll say about that. So for Jack, for Lola, and for Nicole, I'm Chip, and I'm out.